Okay, guys, so it's been a while since I've done the Car Chronicles. If you've been on my channel for a really long time, you know that's what I've done. Well, we started the channel almost 10 years ago. It started out with little at-home workouts. Then it turned into the Car Chronicles. No, then it turned into like motivational videos in my bathroom. Then the Car Chronicles, and then back into workouts, but a different style of workouts. And occasionally I like to go and do something like this because I think that it's important for people to know that it's not just about workouts, and even not just about nutrition. So like I've snuck in a few food prep and the greens video, if you've seen that one. So this video today is kind of to talk about two different things. It's to talk about a situation that happened with a couple of clients of mine, and a thought process behind something. So I'm going to tell you two stories. One of my clients admitted, and she's not the only one, I've had plenty of people admit this stuff to me, about how she went off plan. And she shot me a text message after the fact, which I always tell them I want you to feel comfortable communicating with me, so you could either send me the message before, or if you remember to do that, or send me the message after. This way you don't have a case of the F-its and you totally lose your mind, and then it turns into a whole day, and then you don't go to the gym and all that other stuff. The important thing is that you forgive yourself at that moment, check right back in, and then that's it. And again, in the future, sometimes you will think to reach out to me beforehand, which that has happened with a client many years ago. She sent me a message of a picture of a chocolate bar on her desk that her boss gave her, and it was like, look at what my boss gave me for having a good month. And I said, okay, you need to go and pour dish detergent on it, wrap it up in a paper towel so he doesn't see it, and throw it in the garbage. And the reason why I say pour dish detergent on it is because if you've known me long enough, you know that, I've had an eating disorder, and I've actually thrown things away and then taken them out of the garbage. And that could be embarrassed. I could be embarrassed to admit that, but I'm not, because I'm a different person. I would never do that now. But to also let people know that they're not alone if they've ever thought about that. So getting back to this particular client, so when she sent me her check-in that night, she... I had responded to her, and I had said, I want you to really evaluate and really think about why it happened, what happened before, how you can improve. And because it's fall down 7 times, get up 8, fall down 1,000 times, get up 1,001. But if you keep falling and tripping on the same speed bump, you're not learning anything. And it's okay to fall 1,000,000 times as long as you keep getting up, but also as long as you learn the lessons from every time you fell. So I pride myself on being the kind of coach that's really trying to get people to understand where these things come from. Where all these, what thoughts they're having before it happens. Is it, a I'm not good enough kind of thought? Is it I'm never going to be in great shape anyway kind of thought, which is a lot of what goes on in people's heads. So when she responded back, she said, I'm sitting in there with all my food, prepared food, set for success, and she felt like everybody else was eating cookies and some of the food that was provided at her job for lunch, and she felt deprived. So I said to her, you gotta not think of you're deprived of not being able to eat that bad food, when at the end of the day, it's not about being deprived. It's about treating yourself and being healthy, and it's about taking care of yourself. And if there's any peer pressure, which kind of leads me into another story, if there's any peer pressure from coworkers, and this, maybe they might not be realizing what they're doing, which is why you don't want to lash out at somebody unless they are disrespectful towards you, which that's another scenario that did actually happen with a client. But if they just say, hey, what's the big deal? Why can't you just have it? That is because most people don't have, there's a very small percentage of people that are in great shape, that are healthy. And ultimately, I, as a health coach, fitness professional, am trying to increase that number, because obesity rate is huge. So, to be able to help people change their life and break that emotional connection to food and recognize that commercials are glorifying food when it's not healthy. Food has to have a purpose. It also doesn't mean that you can't ever have a cheat or a refeed, but there's got to be a purpose to it. I give my clients refeeds, and, I had a client, I might have told this story before on here, where it was her birthday, and she was great for a few weeks before. She was still on her weight loss journey, and she had a refeed of a pasta dish, a piece of cheesecake, and a glass of wine, and she lost a pound. And she did that on the Thursday night, and she lost 1.5 pounds on Saturday. So when it's done right and there's a purpose to it, which there's thyroid purposes, metabolic purposes to it, but it can't be like an every week kind of thing. It can't be like a, whenever you feel like it. It's got to be purposeful. It's got to be because things have been a certain way for a certain amount of time. Or an event, but again, you have to be good up until that event. So, a lot of the times when, people in work are, oh, what's the big deal? Why can't you just have one chip? What's the big deal if I don't have it? Like, why are you pushing me to do this? And the reason why is because most people are not as strong as the committed, as the dedicated, as the ones that make and prep their food and bring it with them and go to the gym and don't make excuses, that literally say they don't have time to go to the gym, but yet it's okay for them to like sit on the couch for hours. And, my kids will watch me work out on a Sunday morning as opposed to sitting on the couch and watching cartoons. Like, that would be frowned upon for my kids to watch me work out, but it's not frowned upon to sit and eat really unhealthy food and just watch TV all day. Like, I'm making more memories with my kids being healthy, working out, them grabbing the tube and wanting to do it. And you guys have seen so many of those videos on here. So, when somebody makes that comment to you, it's because they are uncomfortable with your commitment. And it makes them uncomfortable that you're so committed. So it's not even about you. It's about them. And they're projecting onto you, like, come be uncomfortable with me because your commitment is making me uncomfortable. When what is the big deal? There's so many memes out there, and there's one particular one of the Joker, and it says, I can sit there and eat a Big Mac and a 20-piece and a large fry and a Diet Coke. Nobody bats an eye, but the second I walk in or pull out my Tupperware with chicken and broccoli, and everybody loses their mind. And that's the thing. Like, and I'm not going to tell the scenario because I don't want to make it obvious. I don't know if anybody that is working with this particular client would see this, but, there was another scenario where a coworker made a comment to one of my clients, and my client stood up for himself, and I'm really proud of him for doing that because, at the end of the day, he used that same example about, like, why is it okay for me to eat garbage food and drink at a company party, but it's not okay for, like, but everybody has a hard time with me eating healthy? Like, it just doesn't make any sense. And a lot of the times it's because it's a matter of other people feeling uncomfortable with your commitment, when everybody just needs to stay in their own bubble. If you are not committed and you're just not mentally there, maybe you haven't felt uncomfortable enough in your own skin. Maybe you haven't had a medical scare. Maybe you never were in shape and you truly don't believe yet that you're capable of being in shape. Just be in your own bubble. But if there's somebody else that is uncomfortable in their own skin, maybe had a health scare, maybe is on medication and doesn't want to be on medication anymore, or whatever it is, and wants to turn their life around and believes in themselves because it's about the mental game. As I started this video out, it's not just about workouts and even just about nutrition, which I always say nutrition is the biggest component, and then training, I believe, is second, and then cardio is last. And I do actually want to make a video about this because one of my clients, she had a crazy week at work, and she made a comment to me about, I wanted to make sure that I got in my cardio, and she wants to lose weight. And I'm like, listen, if you have a crazier week and all you have time for is maybe one workout, you should never, ever take away from your resistance training. Like, resistance training is actually sometimes more important than even getting in your cardio, because after you're done doing your resistance training, your body is still, from the type of training that you do with the lifting the weights and tearing muscle and building lean muscle tissue and, you know, that type of workout, your body is burning calories for 6 to 8 hours after the workout, and your metabolism is sped up for 24 hours. So doing cardio, as soon as you're done doing cardio, you stop burning calories and nothing happens to your metabolism. So your best bet would be to, if all you have time for, and I actually have a client that only has an hour a day. They travel for work, and 3 days they do training only with no cardio. 2 days they do cardio only with no training, and 2 other days they do 45 minutes of training and 15 to 20 minutes, if they can squeeze in that extra 5, of cardio right afterwards. So training is like sometimes more important. But going back to the mindset, so like it's nutrition, it's training, it's cardio, and I kind of can level everything out with the mindset. Like, you have to believe that you're capable of doing this. You have to really have a good work ethic. You have to be committed to the goal. And I've talked about this multiple times. Like, I think a vision board, being done right, is great. I have one. It's not just about pictures and stuff like that. The Secret talks about like having pictures and visualizing, and hence the vision board, but it's also about a chart. So I like to teach people about making goals, and it's every goal: fitness goal, health goal, life goal, and then also having the why. So, you know, whether you have 5 pounds or 105 pounds to lose, it's always good to know in the back of your mind, why do you want to lose this weight? Because when you're tempted, if you don't have your why written down, or constantly back here, like, I don't want to be on medication, I don't want to die 5 to 10 years earlier, I want to see my kids and my grandkids graduate and have kids and all that other stuff, maybe if you're not on medication, I don't want to ever go on medication. Maybe if you have injuries, I don't want to feel my symptoms of my injuries. I don't want to get injured again. Like, there are so many different whys. And if you remember those whys, you're more likely. Tony Robbins talks about linking pain and linking pleasure. So when I see bad food, I actually see an IV in my arm. I see Crohn's attacks, I see stomach pains, I see me not being able to play with my kids. So that's that why. And then I also believe in that third column of how will life be different? And it's, not having to pay $3,000 every time I have to go to the emergency room and all that other stuff, which is why I always say that I'm blessed that I have Crohn's disease. I truly believe that. So it's all in the way that you think about things. It's all in the way that you perceive things. It's all in the way that you put things into perspective. It's all in the way that you come up with a game plan as to how you are going to commit to a goal, and then commit to getting to that goal, and then making new ones. So I hope some of these stories and some of the things that I mentioned and little tips and stuff like that helped. I know it's been a while since I've done the Car Chronicles, but I wanted to put one out there for you. So I hope you guys liked it. Back to workout videos soon.